This is your class live recording for your violence and victimization essay for English 2A. This is an explanatory essay, which means you're not necessarily going to be arguing a debatable thesis per se, but more so taking an explanatory tone. Now the difference is in these two is very subtle. So instead of saying this is why bad things happen and really trying to prove a point, you're instead offering up an explanation. So it's a matter of subtlety and tone that will be the primary difference. If you want some extra help with this, let me know. But remember, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is a more explanatory tone, not necessarily a here's why and I'm going to prove it. So this is a 500-word essay explaining why sometimes people hurt others simply because they are different or have different views or beliefs. You'll support your thesis with excerpts and details from the works that you've read in this unit, as well as information from other nonfiction texts that you might have read or have access to. I've included here a list of the readings. Most of you will have read most of these up to this point. If you haven't, that's okay. So the nice thing about this unit is that it's provided a really good, well-rounded perspective for you. So we have things like race relations in Once Upon a Time and The Child Is Not Dead. We have kind of government, academic, and mental discrimination in Serve the People, and Garden of My Childhood, which is kind of going up against the academic people who were in China at the time. Agua Viva provides a nice preview of how some folks who are mentally disabled or handicapped can be treated. They Shot Wook Kim, Blessed is the Match, and Night by Elie Wiesel play both religious roles for the Holocaust, and They Shot Wook Kim fits into that group because it is commentary on racial relations and immigration. A Letter from a Birmingham Jail is also racially based. The Price of My Soul is about religious discrimination. And then 1001 Nights gives us a little bit of gender discrimination and struggles within the power balance. So those are the readings and kind of how they might play into use in your essay. When you're writing your essay, design a thesis that surrounds a central idea about violence and victimization. I know a lot of my students try to go off on these tangents about bullying, and that's absolutely relevant, but let's try to get to the heart of why that might be. Some obvious topics to discuss: race, religion, gender, mental ability, academic ability, etc., etc., etc. So try to pick one to three examples from the readings that support your thesis. You don't necessarily need to use a different literary example in every single one of your paragraphs, but that is a solid way to make sure that you kind of have the bones for your essay. When writing your intro paragraph, it's going to be pretty straightforward. Usually it's 4 to 5 sentences. You'll have an intro sentence. This can be a quote from one of the texts that directly references violence and victimization. This can be a startling fact, maybe something like 60% of students are bullied or what have you. So introduces the topic, transition, explain a little bit more about this topic, what it means to be victimized perhaps. Then you'll list your main points. This will be either the 3 stories that you'll be writing about, including their titles and authors. This might be you're going to talk about race in one paragraph, religion in one paragraph, and gender in a third paragraph. So there are a lot of different ways you can write this essay depending on what you're interested in. And then finally your thesis, which will be something about why some people are victims and why some people choose to be victimizers. Your body paragraphs will actually be pretty short in this essay. It does say 500 words, but I'm not going to check your word count. I'm just going to check to make sure that you're writing solid essay work. Your body paragraphs will each start with a topic sentence. So for example, if you're writing about They Shot Wook Kim, you might say, the poem They Shot Wook Kim is about racial discrimination, perhaps. You'll explain your topic sentence and your assertions that you've made in your topic sentence. Evidence is usually a quote from the text that directly supports whatever your assertion is in your topic sentence. If you are making general commentary, something about women are discriminated against in the workplace. Your evidence will need to be a fact that directly supports that. There's actually a lot of research right now happening about how women are viewed in the workplace versus men, so that might be something you want to talk about. You'll need to explain your evidence and how it kind of supports the assertion that you're making. So if you're saying that, Hannah Sinesh from, Blessed is the Match was experiencing anti-Semitism, you'll need to explain how that quote supports that assertion. And then finally, you'll have to tie it back to your thesis. Why was Hannah Sinesh able to be discriminated against? Why did she experience all these horrible things? And you'll need to explain how that relates to your thesis, which is your explanation of why some people just become victims. After your 3 body paragraphs, you'll move into a concluding paragraph. This is really just to wrap up and create a nice little summary of your essay. You'll start with a transition sentence, something that kind of wraps up everything you've been saying. You'll restate your main points. So again, if you're talking about racism, sexism, and I don't know what else, you'll kind of restate those and kind of re-explain why these are good, solid indicators or explainers of violence and victimization. You will restate your thesis, which is your explanation of violence and victimization. And then finally, a concluding sentence. Now, this should tie back into your very first sentence in the essay, your introductory sentence. So you might include another quote if that's what you started with, perhaps another startling fact, perhaps an explanation as to how you think that fact could be changed in the future, etc., etc. If you have questions about this essay, please let me know. Otherwise, good luck, and I will see you in class.